Have you ever looked at a room and wondered why it was so well designed? We are bombarded with aesthetic spaces all over the internet these days, and once we try to recreate the look for ourselves, it almost always ends in frustration, and we never quite get there. So what do designers do differently in comparison to the average person when designing a space? Let's find out. One of the biggest differences is that designers think differently about the space. It's not just, oh, it's a living room, it's what emotions do I want to evoke here? Who is this for? How do we move throughout this space? And what are the first impressions? This is most obvious in more functional spaces. In a laundry, most people will leave it bare because it's a laundry. No one's going to see it. It doesn't really need to be designed. But a designer will be very intentional with what they place in there and how they want you to feel when using the space. Just because it is a functional space doesn't mean it doesn't get the same level of detail and care than any other space. And it's not just the laundry. Kitchens, bathrooms, and other functional spaces will get that same level of care. And it's actually very reflective of how we used to design public spaces. Like, yes, it is a public restroom. Does it need to be beautiful as well as functional? No. But adding beauty to function means that you're going to feel a lot better when you have to get through a pile of laundry. Another thing that designers do is that they take great care with vignettes and sightlines. A vignette is a small, thoughtfully arranged grouping of furniture, art, and decor that creates a visually cohesive focal moment within a space, and designers will use plenty of them. So, for example, in this one here, we can see a chest of drawers that's decorated with a vase, books, art, and a lamp. There are a few ways that you can create a vignette at home. You can use the triangle method, like the one that we just saw, where it pretty much creates a triangle outline. Or you can go ahead and do a symmetrical mirror method where you try and use the same or similar items to create a balanced mirror effect. Or my personal favorite, the Fibonacci spiral, which is where there will be one piece that catches your attention first, and slowly your eye will be drawn around the space in a spiral until you hit the center, usually with items that are scaling down, but not always. Designers also make vignettes work by styling in 3s and 3rds. If you're new to design and you would like to go ahead and style with what you have at home and you don't have the perfect target decor, just remember these 3 things and you'll be able to style in a vignette in no time. Number 1, use a grouping of 3, so 3 items. Number 2, try to scale them into 3rds, so 1/3, 2/3, and then 3/3. And then finally, if you can, either repeat the color or texture within the 3rds or have that repeated throughout the space so things feel cohesive. So if you have something blue, try and use blue either within that 3rd or use it somewhere else in the space so it feels cohesive. Actually, you know what? Let me show you one real quickly. If we look at my little example here at home, we have a decorative piece that I obviously didn't pick, but that's okay. We have a frame that is almost double its size, and then we have a plant that is almost double its size again. There's a repeat in the color green, so it feels cohesive, and the other colors actually match up with other pieces in the room. It may not look designer per se, but it's using the same principles. Okay, now I gotta fix you up. Sightlines are another thing that designers and especially architects take into consideration. They think about what you're going to see when you walk past the next room over, or at the end of the hallway if there's a nice window, whether or not it opens up to a large garden, and use that to their advantage. It's almost like giving a snapshot into the next story that you're going to walk into, and they will make it feel cohesive by using colors and materials within that snapshot to tie all the spaces together, so then they feel like they're all part of one story, but a very specific segment that still has its own voice. When we look at average homes and how an average person will decorate, we will usually find that they are too timid with their choices. This can show up in a few different ways, from an all similar color like gray being their only color choice, or potentially just choosing nice things that are just scaled down way too small for them to actually create an impact. One of the biggest things that designers get right that we often don't is scale. They will tend to opt for bigger over something that is too small. And this can range from anything from furniture to art. Even home decor will tend to be larger on average than what you would have in a general home. This isn't to say that they never use something that is small, but they will use a small item intentionally. You may have seen that a designer will use a teeny tiny artwork to create a level of tension with the negative space surrounding it in a room that otherwise would have maybe felt boring. By using something larger on average, it demands attention and also creates a sense of confidence, not only in the designer's choices, but also in who the homeowner is. And it's important to remember that they are designing for one homeowner, because when they go ahead and choose that quirky piece of furniture or that odd silhouette, it's reflective of who the homeowner is. And so when you go ahead and shop at Target or any other big box store, they tend to cater to the masses. So even though those pieces may not necessarily be bad, they're just boring because it's for everyone. Having a designer space means that you have to be very intentional about getting personal with yourself and your style and be confident in it as well. We've discussed some pretty key points here. However, maybe you just want to get the look and you don't really care about all the other reasons and such. So let's do a quick lightning round of things that you will commonly see in designer homes that you can do as well. Starting off strong with extra large artwork. They demand attention and create an instant focal point, something that most rooms are often missing. Tall trees and sculptural plants fill vertical space and also soften hard lines. Larger decorative items create a calmer space by minimizing the visual noise. Strong silhouettes and statement elements help create a designer effect by having a more unique look. Visually interesting light features, anywhere from a chandelier to a small table lamp that is unique, will create a level of warmth and coziness while also feeling very, very personal as well. And finally, the use of books. Almost every photo that you will ever see, designers will use books for styling. However, I will say a personal pet peeve of mine is styling with books that mean nothing to you. So some people might use a vintage book to style, but they don't know what's in the vintage book. My personal recommendation to you is to find a book that actually means something to you. So if you have a weird hobby or obsession with frogs, get yourself a book that has frogs in it, because it is at least going to be something that you like and you're going to be tied to it. And if you want to say, I don't have anything interesting about myself, that's okay, we have something for you too. Just get yourself a family photo album. It's personal and it's intentional as well. There are 3 more things that designers do differently than the rest of us, but if you would like to elevate your home and would like a worksheet to help you get that one step closer, there'll be a free download down below. Something that most of our homes are missing in comparison to designer homes is layering. I like to say that a home is meant to be like an onion. It's meant to have a whole lot of layers, because adding layers creates visual depth and interest in a space. The goal isn't to completely block something, but just to have something slightly coming out in front of it to give this illusion of visual depth. For example, we can see here there is a window that is covered by a curtain, which is then also being layered with a floor lamp and a sofa. From the floor, we have the flooring, then the rug, then the coffee table and its respective decor. Or here we can see a bookcase with a chair intentionally in front of it, and then a side table doing the exact same thing. This adds depth to our space so it doesn't end up feeling flat, and then it is further layered with all these different materials on top of that. We have a different material for many of these items, but they feel nicely layered together because they are all tied together through some mean, whether that be through color, through style, or even pattern. Designers are able to do this almost seamlessly because of their planning. Something that most of us will never do to the same extent, honestly, is a big part of a designer's role. They will go into the concept role and work on that several times over, then they'll tweak and change it, then they'll choose furniture, tweak and change it again until they have something that is very, very intentional and feels seamless. Designers have a very thorough plan and goal for what they're setting out to do, and they do this through mood, material, and concept boards alongside reworking it several times over with the client. If you'd like to learn how to design like a designer and what those 3 boards actually entail, I have a video all about it here. And finally, designers aren't afraid to get weird. They are willing to get that statement chair or paint the ceiling cerulean because it's reflective of who the client is. They aren't thinking of resale value or what other people will think of it. They only care about what the client thinks about it. So lean into your quirks and even your hobbies and do them in artful ways. Be bold about it, because once you do that, your home will have something that you didn't have before. Soul. There are certain things that designers have the upper hand on. I can think of natural light, larger windows, and architectural pieces that are very unique, just to name a few. They even have photographers that will take the perfect vignette and change it even in Photoshop to make sure that it is absolute perfection that we just don't have in our own homes and what is normal to day-to-day life. However, with everything that I've mentioned in this video, you too can still get that designer look. So just as a reminder, if you'd like to elevate your home and would like a worksheet, that will be listed down below. And if you would like to learn a little bit about a design trend that is taking the internet by storm at the moment, make sure you join me for this next design adventure.